Welcome to Ready Lesson 9 for 8th grade, Summarizing Literary Text. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to summarize a literary text by restating in your own words the main characters, setting, and key events in sequence, as well as provide an objective summary free of personal opinions or judgments. So we're going to be working on a lesson about summarizing, and learning how to summarize in a story is important because it's going to help you understand and remember what you read. Now, let's go ahead and let's review what you would need to include in a story summary. First, you would need the setting, the main characters, the conflict, and then important plot details. Listen as I read two plot summaries and try to figure out which one is the better of the two. Here's the first one. On a cool autumn day, a family of three bears goes for a walk in the woods. While they are gone, a young girl comes to their house. She eats their porridge, sits in their chairs, and then falls asleep. When the bears come home, they find the girl sleeping. Here's the second plot summary. This is an unbelievable story. It is about three bears that go for a walk while they wait for their breakfast to cool. You won't believe what happens while they're gone. Now, which summary is better? Well, the first summary is better because it includes the setting, main characters, and important events. The second summary doesn't give the setting or enough information about the plot. It's also not objective. So let's look at lesson 9. It says your best friend missed her favorite show. She knows you watch it too and calls you asking you to summarize what happened. When you summarize, you briefly retell the main characters, setting, conflict, and important events. To paint as clear a picture as possible, you make sure your summary is objective or free of your own personal opinions. So it says study these images about a time traveler. Look for details about characters, setting, and events. So in the first box, it says the year is 1906. Artemis sets his time machine for year 2056. In the last box, it says only to discover that the future isn't what he had hoped it would be. Now review the graphic organizer below. Notice that it includes only essential details, tells events in the order they happened, and is free of personal opinions. So let's look at the graphic organizer. It starts with the characters. So the character we have here is the time traveler. The setting is a town at two different time periods. Our first important event is that the time traveler from the past hops into his time machine. The second important event is that the time traveler journeys to the future and finds the town is destroyed. Now, using all four of these, I can combine them to create a literary summary, which is a time traveler journeys to the future with a time machine and finds that his town has been destroyed. Summarizing isn't just a way for you to describe a story to others. It can also be a tool to help you understand what you're reading. Stop occasionally to summarize what has happened. Be sure you include only the most important details. This process will help you check your understanding of a text and remember important details. So let's move on to part 2. It says read the first 3 paragraphs of this science fiction story. Touchdown on Spectra Omicron 8. This just in. The UFP Ulysses vessel has touched down on the planet Spectra 8. This signifies the first stage in its terraforming expedition. The complex multi-stage terraforming process will make Spectra's atmosphere more like that of Earth and livable for humans. Captain Jane Young and her crew of 21 blasted off in May of 2218 for the 6-year journey through deep space to reach the lifeless planet. They encountered a number of problems along the way. First, they were stuck in the gravitational pull of an antimatter black hole. They also had to deal with a salmonella outbreak in the ship's food storage. In October of this year, the Ulysses established orbit. Lieutenant Bobby Sullivan piloted the vessel toward the planet's surface. He set the angle of entry so the ship would not burn up when passing through the atmosphere. After securing visual confirmation of the landing site, Sullivan deployed the landing gear, applied the thrusters, and brought the ship in for a soft 3-point landing. So it says explore how to answer this question. How can you best summarize this part of the story? Remember that a summary is a brief retelling that includes the main characters, setting, and important events. Underline each of these things in the story above. So, if I'm going to go back to the story and underline things that are important, I first want to underline my characters. So in this case, I'm going to underline the vessel, which I know it's not necessarily a character, but it holds all the characters. It's very important. We have Captain Jane Young and her crew of 21, and we also have Lieutenant Bobby Sullivan. I also want to go ahead and include setting, and so this includes the time and places. So we have Planet Spectra 8. They gave a couple of dates. So we had May 2218 for the 6-year journey, and we have October of this year is when they finally landed. You also want to include any sort of problems or conflicts. So in this case, they did encounter a number of problems along the way. And it was the stuck in the gravitational pool and the salmonella outbreak. And then finally, you want to include the resolution. So in this case, they brought the ship in for a soft 3-point landing, uh, which is the ending of that. So it says summary should be objective or free of opinions and judgment. Read the following summary of the story and cross out any opinions or personal feelings of the summary. In the year 2218, the Ulysses sets off on a really dangerous mission to begin terraforming planet Spectra 8. They have to deal with some scary problems along the way, but they finally reach the planet. The most interesting part is how pilot Bobby Sullivan brings the ship in for a safe landing. Now, I know a summary should not include opinions or judgments, which are words that reflect the summarizer's personal feelings. I'll reread the first sentence. And if you notice, it says they set off on a really dangerous mission. The words really dangerous sound like an opinion, and I see that they're not in the story. So they express the opinion of the person who created the summary, not the person who wrote the story. So therefore, those words should not be included in the summary. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross out really dangerous. That does not need to be included in the summary. Now, the last sentence starts with the most interesting part. Now, this is a judgment and it does not belong in a summary. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that out. Also, when they talk about the problems, they refer to them as being scary. Because the story did not refer to them as being scary, we would not want to be referring to them as scary in the summary. So my summary should look something like this. In the year 2218, the Ulysses sets off on a mission to begin the terraforming of planet Spectra 8. They have to deal with some problems along the way, but they finally reach the planet. And then pilot Bobby Sullivan brings the ship in for a safe landing. I would have probably included a date of when he did it, but other than that, that's a really good summary. Okay, so go ahead and find part 2 to this video so that you can watch the guided instructions.